Hey guys, and welcome back to another live local speech match. Today we have Branded versus Radiant Typhoon. You see the Branded player winning the die roll here and starting his turn with a Branded in High Spirits, which is being met with a Ash Blossom by the Radiant Typhoon player. Then proceeding to main phase and using Spenta here to search the Magistus level 4 from the deck, which is being met with a Droll knockback on Resolution. Normal summoning the Zerora now to then use its effect to equip from the extra. Equipping the Link 1, which is then triggering its effect to bring back the Spenta from the graveyard. See a synchro summon here of the yugiohtcg synchro monster using the two Magistus monsters. So Synchro is seeing quite a lot of play in the current meta in not just the Draco Tail deck, but obviously pure Branded as we see here, and as an accompanying engine with the Fallen in the Virtuous quick play. So here we see the White Owlbears being summoned from the deck, special summoning, no doubt, the Ecclesia. Now we go for a Fallen in the Virtuous. Targeting the White Owlbears, sending what looks like an Albion from the extra deck to the graveyard. Which does seem like a bit of a weird play, but being pure Branded, they actually can do a lot in the end phase with their fusion monster effects triggering in the graveyard. So we'll probably see possibly some more additional plays here on the Branded player's side. Either that, or we might just see him set the Branded in red here and use it to combo off during his opponent's turn, as he is under Duel, so there is only some finite amount of plays he actually can make. So still ending on like some interruption as well as some engine, even after being Ash and Drolled. So now the start of the Radiant Typhoon player's turn, he's going to activate Chant in the draw phase to search a monster. Searching the Eldom here. Most likely has an MST of some sort in the hand or a way to get to it to force out the Branded in red before committing to a summon. He might just normal summon the Eldom if he doesn't have another way to an MST. Looks like he's going to draw 2 with the Vision. Discarding the Mandate, which is pretty much a free discard, as the Link 2 can't get that back at a later point for free. So here we see the normal summon of Eldom, using its effect to search a monster or MST from deck to hand. We might see a response here by the Branded player's side, knowing that he can choose on resolution whether to add a monster or MST. Either way, may as well just let it go through to see what he adds before forcing out some sort of Branded red interaction. Adds the Crusader hand. No doubt having a quick play in hand to trigger that one already. So just thinking about his further plays here. Most likely, I would guess, some sort of MST or way to search the MST, and then using that to force the back row, and then a Crusader and a new chain to summon itself to add. But there's quite a few things he needs to consider, one being the Branded in red as well as the Ecclesia, as pure Branded can make use of the Black Ecclesia Synchro much better than what other decks can, like Draco, which really just uses it as a way to get Cartesia to do an extra summon. So here he goes with the Fallen, targeting the main deck Ecclesia, which is then chained to special summon from the deck, most likely a White Owlbears. Now the White Albaz can activate its effect as Chainlink 2 to the Crusader, Chainlink 1 summoning itself from the hand, summon back the Ecclesia from the graveyard. So just using that Fallen there as a way to trigger the Crusader in hand and to force out the Ecclesia early, so he doesn't have to worry about that later. So he adds MST as well as Ascendance, which is the reborn of level 6 or lower from the grave. You link those two off into the Link to Varun, which will then be chained to by the Ecclesia Synchro, which can special summon either a Cartesia here or possibly a Fallen. Looks like he's going with a Fallen of Albaz, which will then ditch the Ecclesia from hand to fusion summon. That's being met with a MST. Looks like that's being chained to by a red, but I would assume there's some sort of an other. No, okay. I thought there'd be another response, like a Forbidden Droplets possibly, which is why he was using the MST now. Or there could be a Super Polar even to force out everything now, fusion monster wise, and just use a Super Poly to wipe all the interrupts from the field. Fallen Albaz uses the Link to his material, summoning the Mirror Jade, and then the branded red will summon the Libellion. No effect of Libellion, it looks like. Oh no, we are doing a Chainlink 2 Libellion effect here to fusion summon. Varun in hand being Chainlink 1. So fusioning by shuffling back to Albaz in white now to summon the Chaos Source Dragon. So 2 light dragons were used. We'll be able to target up to 2 cards here to destroy them. So this will attempt to get rid of the Varun, but he's going to chain the Varun effect to negate so he can keep the body. We can see how resilient the branded deck can be even under Ashen Troll from turn 1. Still able to put up multiple interrupts, while also the Mirror Jade giving him more engine once that effect's actually used in the end phase when it triggers the fusion monster that would have been sent. So we see the Ascendance being used to bring back the Eldom and then MST targeting it to reset it back. So Phonics will be Chainlink 1 here actually, triggered to summon from hand, and then your Ascendance set will be Chainlink 2, it looks like. So Resolution of the Sun or the Phonics, looks like Mirror Jade will be used here, sending, I would either assume a Titaniclad or an Alba. Yep, so Alba was sent. Being very strong, now that Phonics, usually only one of the most Radiant Typhoon decks, is now gone for the rest of the game, as Radiant Typhoon has no banish recycling effects. And the Alba in the end phase for the branded player can literally just search him branded fusion, giving him more access to his engine, as I was saying earlier. Looks like the Radiant Typhoon player has only 1 card in hand, possibly 2. Too sure what he could be thinking about going into here. Could honestly just be another Link 2 to try and get the mandate back to the field. Yep, so there's a Link 2. Looks like that card was set actually, not in his hand. And then going to the end phase, using the Albion and the Radiant Typhoon's graveyard to set a Fallen, and now all the trigger effects for branded in their main phase 3, as some put it. The Brennan High Spirits being added back to hand. The Ecclesia main deck monster being added to hand. The Branded Fusion being added off the Alba. And then the Ecclesia Black Synchro coming back from the Banished. Very big swing of momentum here in the end phase, as Branded does. As we had 0 cards in hand until the end phase there, so very typical of Branded. Now in the draw phase, Ascendance is being used to reborn, I would assume, a Crusader, but he could reborn the Varun, as he wouldn't have a way to get it on the field otherwise. There's no MST in rotation. It's not one set. Yeah, so he does bring back the Rune in the graveyard here, which then triggers the Link 2 to activate the Mandate from the graveyard, and now he's using Mandate to shuffle 3 back to draw a card. Probably hoping to dig for a Sheena would be the best case scenario here, just some sort of interaction that he can use on his opponent's turn to swing the momentum back in his favor, as his interrupts and board presence right now is quite scarce. So here we see the Spoon or Spencer, I can't actually remember which name is correct in the TCG, equipping the Link 1 now from the graveyard, which is then now using its effect to search the Crowley. And then Crowley's effect in hand, like Poplar, can summon itself when added, and then we'll use its effect on field to fusion summon, which is being met with the Varun main deck monster negate, which there is 2 MSTs, so that did get destroyed. Now we're going to be using the Ecclesia main deck monster on the field. The Incredible Ecclesia to summon Albaz from the deck. He did shuffle 2 back, the white Albaz with the Libellion earlier, so that enables a resource loop here to summon the Albaz and the Ecclesia back. Now it looks like he's going to be performing another synchro summon of the Magistus Zorora synchro. This will enable him to equip one from the graveyard if he wanted to halt effects of certain extra deck types, depending which one's equipped. So I believe it does equip from the extra deck of the graveyard. So now he's contact fusing into the Chorozo, using the Link 1 in the Spot Trap Zone and the Chaos Source on the field. And now using Branded Fusion, which I'm not too sure you can use Branded Fusion here after Synchro Summoning. I could be mistaken. I'm not too sure if Branded Fusion locks you for the rest of the turn or for the whole turn. Yes, it does look like that Branded Fusion there was actually quite illegal here, but I don't know if either player catches it. Would assume not, they would have caught it by now if they did realize. So now we see the Black Ecclesia synchro summoning a kit from the deck. That synchro just having the ability in the pure branded deck to summon all kinds of monsters to progress your game state. It's very good. Excellent support for that deck, and obviously maybe a little bit too good as it's being used as an engine in other decks. Perhaps should have been some sort of lock on the Ecclesia synchro to prevent it being splashed into other fusion decks that could use it. So here we're in the Radiant Typhoon player's turn now. In the main phase he's summoning the Eldon from the hand. Most likely to search another Crusader here. We tribute summon the Crusader over the Eldon to use effect to search MST and another Radiant card. Had to guess it might be a chant. Yep, so going for a chant here. He might just add a Maghala straight up. Nope, looks like he is going to commit to the chant. And now this chant might just add Maghala here or possibly Swen. It did go with Swen. I feel like he could have played this a little bit better, maybe going Swen off the Crusader instead, but it looks like he's valuing the draw 2 rather than a Maghala play here. Which makes sense, so there is no Phonics left to get out of the deck, and Maroon's already on the field and the Crusader's already used its effect, so there would be no high value targets, especially with the Megala. So now the mandate is shuffling 3 back here to draw a card. Just digging for more tools to try and out this board, potentially looking for a Super Poly even. Or an excellently timed Sheena would definitely help here. Oh, it looks like we did have the Megala in hand already. Either that was either drawn off mandate or possibly drawn for turn or off the vision itself. So we see the Ecclesia here targeting the Albion. And I believe he targeted the Ecclesia, yep. So now we're seeing an Ecclesia being chained here, and that's also being met with the Sheena from the hand. Very powerful Sheena here. yugioh being chained to that, and then the Varun being chained to that. The Ecclesia and the Albion stay in the graveyard because the target is now no longer on the field to resolve the shuffle back. yugioh not being destroyed as well halts the effect being activated to then destroy all the bodies in the end phase as it was returned to the extra. Quite a lot going to be added back in the end phase on the branded player's side here, was what the Red Typhoon player is just commenting and confirming. As we did send a Dogmine as well off the Mirror Jade. Set 2, and then we pass priority to the opponent, which is now in the end phase. There's a few effects to trigger here. The Incredible Ecclesia to add back to hand because the fusion monster was sent this turn, and then the Dogma. We'll add another Fallen. Do believe that's all that was sent to the graveyard this turn. But he is also in the end phase going to be using the Fallen that's already set, sending the Titaniclad, targeting the mandate. Excellent play here, making sure that the mandate won't be on the field when it gets back to his turn, as well as being able to send another card that will get more advantage right now in this end phase. And then we summon the Varun from the hand, as it was bounced with Sheena, because the quick play was activated, and then now the Titaniclad will resolve, summoning the Quem from the deck, which is then going to send the Cartesia, which will then add itself back because a fusion monster was sent this turn. So the branded player just recouping all of these cards, keeping their loop going. They will need to eventually be keeping in mind how many fusion monsters they have left in the extra deck as well, as sometimes that can, if games like these go on for too long, be an issue for the branded player. The new Dogma fusion definitely helps in that regard, being able to shuffle back from the graveyard. But we do see the Dogma in the graveyard now. Perhaps there's a Rebellion that can shuffle that back too to help recycle, but I guess we shall find out if it even gets to that point where that's needed. So we special summon the Cartesia at the start of this turn, and then the Ecclesia, and then normally Kit. And Kit's using its effect here to search one from the hand to the bottom of the deck. Varun is attempting to negate that one. That resolves. See a synchro summon of the Ecclesia here. Thinking about what effects to use here, so he's using the synchro effect on some. I do think he was trying to possibly use the Quem effect, but he decided not to. Just yet, he's going to hold on to that one for now. Summon the White Albaz from the graveyard, and the White Albaz will summon back the Ecclesia. Rebellion now using its effect to discard to add a Bestial from deck to hand, most likely a Saronir or a Magma. So a Saronir here is being added to hand. Oh nope, he's changing what target he's possibly going to add to hand. Thinking maybe a Magma would be better. Nope, Saronir. If he does play Magma, I'm not too sure if he does in fact play Magma. No, he definitely plays 3 Saronir, or possibly at least 2 in this list, as it's a very good card in the branded strategy. Albion here now being summoned with the Cartesia. Clem can now activate with the Albion leaving the Sanctify, sorry, leaving the extra deck, so it can summon back the Sprint that was summoned earlier. Which can then move zones to destroy monster. So we attack into the Sheena for 100 damage, but it can't be destroyed by battle once. Which is why it's still in the field. And now the Fallen is using its effect to reborn, as there is an Ecclesia in the graveyard, and Crusea in a new chain. We're chaining to the Crowley's effect to fuse. And now the Crowley fusion summoned the new Magistus fusion monster, which banished a fusion monster in the graveyard to banish a monster on the field on summon, which banished the Sheena. Now Crusea is resolving its effect to add MST and Ascendance. I do believe he was doing this play to clear the bodies to try and get as much damage as possible, but not knowing that the Crusea is also unable to be destroyed by battle while he controls no spells and traps. So heads up play here by the Radiant Typhoon player, just making sure that there's a body to block and yet a undestructible body at that. Guarantee himself another turn. Now in the end phase, the Incredible Ecclesia will be added back to hand, and then the Synchro Ecclesia coming back from the banished. Very grindy and back and forth game one here between two very grindy and card advantage-esque decks here. We do see Serpulli now in the new turn. The Radiant Typhoon player discarding Swen, using the Magistus as well as the Synchro now to make the Saint Azamina. The Saint Azamina package being quite popular nowadays for this matchup specifically, usually in decks that can afford the extra space like Radiant Typhoon. Do see a Crusade now coming down with a Varun being summoned as well, and the Saint Azamina summoning the Ilia Silver, giving himself an Omni Negate on top of everything. Quite incredible to think about how at one point the Radiant Typhoon player literally just had a Link 2 in 1 set card on the field as he was passing turn back to his opponent, but somehow has managed to get all the way back into this position only a couple turns later. Radiant Typhoon player now attacking into the Quem. And now attacking into the Cartesia. Do you believe there was a possible misplay here on the Radiant Typhoon's player's side? I do know that Saint Azamina can reflect damage and it's on 0 attack. And I believe the Ilia Silver doubles the damage that all his monsters deal, or fusion monsters deal. It might be all monsters, or it might just be Azamina monsters, I'm not too sure about that. But I do know that they had missed game here. They were discussing it after the match. Not being able to get rid of the Sanctified Dragon. Fortunately, he has to set cards here and pass turn. Oh, looks like he's going to make a link summon first. Looks like he's possibly eyeing off the link 3. Yep, so this is the one that targets a monster in the graveyard and shuffles it back. Oh no, it looks like he's changing his mind on what he wants to summon. No, so he is now committing to the Doom Eagle. Sets another one, then activating the chant from the hand to add Swen. And then Swen effect here to special summon, adding a vision from deck to hand. Now in the end phase, passes priority to his opponent, and then the random player uses a Serenade here to banish. I believe it was the Ecclesia that was sent off to Fallen. Yep. Yeah, I do believe he just realized then what I was saying earlier about missing game there with the Ilya Silva and the Saint Hasmina. Oh, well, it's unfortunate. The random player draws for turn. Looks like an Alibi. Yep, so now we normal the Alibi and use its effect to search. Radiant Typhoon player here needs to be wary on what he wants to use his Ilya Silva effect on to negate. Which, yeah, Brandon and White is definitely a good a spot as any to use that there, as that's threatening a Mirror Jade. So here we discard the Spoon, or Spenta, to lower the attack of the Doom Eagle by 1000, putting it on 1400. Then we special summon the Ecclesia from the hand because your opponent controls a monster. Oh no, he's not doing that, sorry. Let's see, he's taking that back. Now Alibi will declare into the Doom Eagle. Oh sorry, into the Saint Hasmina, apologies. And that does reflect the damage back to the Alibi. The Serenade will then boot over the Swen, and now the Sanctifier is attacking into the Doom Eagle. Now the Doom Eagle effect is being used here just to get some sort of value out of it. Looks like he's targeting the Crowley to put back in the deck. I think he was just trying to find a target that wasn't very valuable, hoping that in a top deck situation he draws that Crowley, as a lot of the targets for its fusion summoning effect are pretty much been used at this point. Now we use the Ecclesia, putting back this Chaos Star Source and itself to target and shuffle a card on the field. Now we equip the Link 1, and that's being met with MST, and then they pass turn to the Radiant Typhoon player. Basically that entire board being dealt with. Very good back and forth here between the two players and their decks. As this is still game 1, going quite a bit of time here. Both committing heavily into trying to winning this game and then hopefully closing the next game or 2 games even as quick as possible. So we see a vision here to draw 2 and then a set. See a normal summon of Ash Blossom here, which is then going into the Fortune rank 3. It's usually using the Zeus package here, so on the start step of battle phase, Sanctify here is targeting the Fallen of Albaz and the Ash Blossom in his opponent's graveyard. Oh no, Droll Lockbit, sorry, not Ash Blossom. And then Fallen will use this effect to discard to fuse, and then that's being met with a Droplet sending a spell, getting the Fallen. So the Fortune will attack into the Full Albaz. He takes a bit of damage for that. But the Fortune should detach to save itself. And not that it's really going to matter too much here, but summons the Zeus. Oh, there you go, they fix it up there. They detach the Ash to save the tune. So instead of using the Zeus effect straight away, he's going to pass turn. Hopefully using it to buy another turn when his opponent goes full game. So you see a special summon of Ecclesia here. And now it looks like a synchro summon of the Ecclesia that put itself back the turn prior. I swear we've now seen that Ecclesia's synchro be summoned from the extra deck at least 3 times now. Possibly 4. I've lost count at this point of all the times it's returned itself, and as well as Sheena returning it, I believe, from one of the other times. So here we special summon the Fallen again, discarding the Retribution to fuse, and then a Zeus was chained with the Vision chained as well to draw 2. Now the entire board is cleared, the Retribution now banishing itself to no doubt add the Fallen and White. And now we use the Fallen and White here to fusion summon using materials from the graveyard, banishing the Magistus Link 1, Titaniclad, oh sorry, no, just the Titaniclad and Albaz, summoning the Mirror Jade. And then the Mirror Jade can then now just go to battle, use effect, clear the Zeus, and then hit for 3k. So they scoop it up. Now we're on to game 2 with the Radiant Typhoon player starting. Start with a special summon of Maghala, then a special summon of Swen using effect to search Vision. Vision will now draw 2, which is being chained to by the Droll, as on res the Radiant Typhoon player used the Vision on res instead of waiting for an open game state. So he does not get a draw there, unfortunately. The Maghala will now trigger in a new chain, summoning the Evo Rune from the deck. Do now see an XYZ summon using the Maghala and the Swen. He is wind locked, but thankfully Titan Bird is a wind. Titan Bird being quite useful and strong against the branded variant, as not being able to use branded fusion is quite annoying, even with the White Albaz effects, giving them other lines of play, but if you don't draw that, then that can be a bit problematic. With no way to stop the Fallen, gets fusioned away now for the Mirror Jade. And now the branded fusion can go through. The branded player now being in quite a commanding position with the Mirror Jade already on field and now branded fusion being resolved. Sending the Fallen in White to summon the Albion, which will now banish the Fallen in White and the Incredible Ecclesia. Summoning the Sanctifier Dragon. Not sure what the card in hand could be for the branded player, but we do see the set card on the opponent's field by the Radiant Typhoon player is Super Poly. Fusing away the Mirror Jade and the Albion here for a Mud Dragon. On resolution, the Corsair now will use its effect to summon Chainlink 2 as Chainlink 1, the Mirror Jade, to destroying the end phase was used, and now the Corsair will activate to add MST as well as a Radiant Typhoon card, being the Eldom. Getting some follow-up here as well as a way to get rid of any kind of back row that the branded player might set in the end phase, and now the Sanctifier battles over the Mud Dragon. End phase now for the branded player is setting a Fallen in the Virtuous via the Albion and Graveyard effect. And now Mirror Jade should resolve, destroying the 2 monsters here, and then passes over to the Radiant Typhoon player. Now we go MST here, targeting the Fallen and Virtuous, which is being chained, targeting the MST, sending a Titaniclad. Rune effect will now Oh, sorry, we're just doing a rewind here quickly as there was some miscommunication. So Fallen is being chained to the MST, and then the Sanctify is being chained to the Fallen to reborn the Brujade, and the Bell to the opponent's field. So Varun is now back on the field. And the Summon of the Eldom now searching a monster, most likely probably a Swen. Yep, so Swen here, special summoning to add either a Vision here or possibly an Ascendance. Might be eyeing off a Chant here. The Mirrorjade was used just there as well, but the environment did negate that one. So the Ascendance here being added to the hand, and then we have a League Summon the Rune to add MST. We go for an Ascendance here to reborn, and MST being chained to target the Ascendance. Crusader channeling 1, Ascendance channeling 2 to set itself, adding a Vision from the Crusader, and MST from Phonics. I do believe we may have missed the Link 2 here to activate the Mandate, but he's now rectifying that with MST targeting the Ascendance. Ascendance to set itself again in Mandate, so he did have to unfortunately use a second MST there for free pretty much, which was a bit unfortunate, but now I see the Phonics. Looks like he might have actually ended up using that second MST either way, because you can't activate 2 hand effects summon from hand in the same chain, so I had to pick between Crusader and Phonics, but I wanted both. But now he has both because he used 2 separate quick plays in different chains. So we target the Eldom and the Mirrorjade to put back into the Spell and Trap zone. Good way of removing the Mirrorjade there so it doesn't get its effect to clear the bodies in the end phase if it was properly fusion summoned. Now we attack over the Sanctified Dragon here with the Phonics because it was boosted by the Mandate for 300. Then in the end phase we set some cards. I set some cards before the end phase, apologies, but now in the end phase the Spring Dragon will be activating its effect to summon from deck, I believe. Just adding the White Albaz. So I do believe we can choose between summoning and adding. I might just be able to only add, I'm not too sure actually, I'm familiar with that card too much. So now we see the White Albaz come down, setting the Ecclesia as cost, now using its effect to summon the Incredible Ecclesia from the deck. Now using that Black Ecclesia that he was just sent then to put back his Sanctifier to target the Phonics on the field to shuffle them back. Fallen here being chained to destroy his Phonics to keep it in rotation rather than being put back into the deck. I believe he's thinking about using the Mandate now, so... oh no, okay, he's not going to use it. Maybe not enough quick plays to use it just yet. Synchro summoning into the Magistus Synchro 8 now. Using its effect to equip from the extra deck the Link 1. Link 1 effect now being used to add, no doubt, Crowley from deck to hand. Oh no, sorry, a Spencer, which is then going to add the Crowley. Bottom resolution, he wants to use the Ascendance first. Opponent just going a bit too fast, but he just wanted to use Ascendance to reborn the Varun. And now once the Varun's been special summoned, there's enough quick plays in the graveyard for the Mandate to use its effect while maintaining at least 1 MST to keep a negate to draw a card. I see a Brandon in red here, but with the round getting quite close to time, I believe there was less than a minute left, the Radiant Typhoon player decided to just concede the match to the Brandon players to avoid being given a double loss. So that's it for this feature. Please leave a like if you enjoyed the content, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.